All right,
Okay.
welcome back everyone. Today we are going to talk about getting support for your healthy lifestyle. Um, and so just our disclosure for this and all recordings, the CDC guidelines require that you have direct contact with your lifestyle coach with each session. So after this recording, just reach out to your lifestyle coach to schedule a short call to review this session, and then you're good to go.
Okay, guys, so let's face it, it's not easy to make lasting changes in your lifestyle, but fortunately, you don't have to do it alone. So getting support for your healthy lifestyle can help you prevent or delay type 2 diabetes, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So we'll discuss how to get support from family, friends, and coworkers, various groups, classes, and clubs, as well as professionals. And then, of course, we'll let you make a new action plan.
Great. Okay, so let's start with getting support from family, friends, and coworkers. So you've been working hard to make healthy changes in your lifestyle. Your family, friends, and coworkers can have a big impact on those efforts, for better or for worse. So let's start by talking about some way that family, friends, and coworkers might get in the way of your healthy habits, healthy lifestyles. And this is not always on purpose, but it happens. So we're going to start by looking at an example. So if you can go to Jim's story in your participant guide on page 3 of this module's handout. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first 2 paragraphs, and then we'll talk about it. So Jim is at risk for type 2 diabetes. He's made healthy changes in his eating and fitness habits, but he doesn't always get the support he needs from his friends, family, and coworkers. At home, his kids complain about missing their favorite foods like pizza and ice cream. His wife resents the time Jim spends working out instead of being with the family. His mom keeps telling him that he's just fine the way he is. And some of his coworkers always put out candy. Let's just talk about this for a minute, or just kind of want to bring this out. If you are hearing this, see if there's anything you can relate to in this. I know for me, I see people with the candy dish out, or somebody will make you some of their favorite food, and so it's hard to say no to. Some other things that you can buy or cook some unhealthy items. Complain about the healthy items you buy and cook. Someone can criticize you for failing to reach your eating and fitness goals. You can be eating unhealthy items, or they can be eating unhealthy items and offering them to you. They can invite you to do things that involve sitting or lying around, like, come on, let's watch the football game for 3 hours. They can make it hard for you to find time to be active. Things get in the way. They can refuse to do active things with you. They can tell you you're fine just the way you are. You don't need to change. So these are kind of some ideas that might come up with your friends, family, and coworkers. And like I said, it's not intentional. You're making some lifestyle changes, and they're not used to seeing that. So the next thing I want to do is just turn this around. And how do you do this? How can your family, friends, and coworkers support your healthy lifestyle? So, well, one thing they can do is agree to do active things with you. They can buy and cook healthy items. They can eat healthy items and then offer them to you. They can encourage you to stick to your healthy lifestyle. They can invite you to do active things. They can praise you for being active. They can praise the healthy items you buy and cook. And they can tell you you're making great progress. Now, when I read these things, I think of someone's not going to automatically do this, especially if they've been doing things that are sabotaging your efforts. So this is where you needing to just say, hey, talk to them and say, this is what I'm doing, and I really need your support, and just kind of standing your ground on it, and just saying it's important that you support me on this. And a lot of times just hearing that really changes people in terms of supporting. So that's something to give a try. Also, your family, friends, and coworkers, they care about you and they want you to be well, but they might not understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, or they might not know how to support your efforts. So again, it's up to you to tell them. So think about some ways that we can tell people, our family, friends, and coworkers, to support our healthy lifestyle. So one thing is you can share some of the facts about type 2 diabetes and how to prevent it. You can try to tell them why you are trying to lead a healthy lifestyle. You can ask them nicely to support your efforts. You can give them regular updates on your progress. You can set family rules. That could be something like, the kitchen's closed after 8 p.m. or things like that. You could also invite them to be active with you. Hey, I'm going for a walk. You want to come with me? You can invite them to plan and shop for healthy meals with you. You can also cook and eat. They can also cook and eat healthy foods with you. So a lot of this is, there's kind of an assertive piece to this, but that piece is also just in terms of making your general changes. You're making lifestyle changes, and to make those changes, sometimes you have to, you get the changes that we're giving you, but also just being assertive in from where you're coming from and putting that out there to the world can also make those changes happen more for you.
Okay, so moving on to get support from groups, classes, and clubs. So we've talked about how to get support from family, friends, and coworkers. And now we're focusing on how to get support from other people in your community. So one way to get support from others in the community is to join a support group. And some of these support groups meet in person, others connect online. And support groups are for people who share a common issue. So there are support groups for people, for example, who have lost a child, or for people with cancer, or for people with a spouse who drinks too much. There are also support groups for people like you. So people who want to lower their risk of type 2 diabetes and live a healthy lifestyle. Members share facts, ideas, and feelings. They listen to and encourage each other, much like what you guys have done together in this cohort. Another way to get support from others in your community is to join an online health community. So there are health communities for people with a range of lifestyle goals as well. And again, members would share tips and stories, compete with each other, and cheer each other on. Another way to get support from others in your community is to take a class or join a club. This lets you learn about and practice healthy habits with like-minded people. And to elaborate on some of this even more, Sharon and I were looking into some options of what might be available locally. And, just from a quick Google search, we could find groups like Overeaters Anonymous that meet maybe weekly or monthly. There's another group like Weight Watchers, and another one, let me see, called TOPS, or Take Off Pounds Sensibly. So that meets every Tuesday, for example, at the church. So there are definitely options like that. And of course, if thinking about some of the clubs or workout classes, you could even find something on YouTube. So you could just do a quick search on YouTube and find some exercise classes, especially if you're not wanting to attend in person. So there are definitely a lot of options out there, and we encourage you to kind of do some searching on your own for what might be a good fit for you and your schedule and, whatever limitations you might have for fitting some of this in. Okay, so again, with focusing on some of these options for classes or clubs, let's think about options that might be supportive for your healthy eating habits. So what do those look like? So that could be something related to healthy cooking or healthy meal planning. And then there's also support groups for healthy fitness habits. So what might those be? That could be maybe a dance class or joining a softball team or joining a walking group. Just some examples for you there. And then how do we find groups like this, right? So that's kind of what I mentioned. Sharon and I just did a quick Google search. That's certainly an option, but asking your healthcare provider is a great route to go. Looking up community groups online. I know through Facebook and Nextdoor, things like that, you can often find groups, or even Meetup if you were to look on Meetup. Or even some of the health clinics, whether it's the hospital or, a tribal health clinic nearby, or whatever your healthcare provider might be, they oftentimes have a bunch of flyers or brochures about the various classes that are being offered to the community. So that's certainly a great option to talk to your healthcare provider about, or just take a look at some of the bulletin boards that are up in some of those public spaces. And so again, some of these community groups, they can connect you with other healthcare options or transportation, financial help, or maybe childcare, or even more, so that you are able to participate in some of these. Okay, so I think that covers us for some of these groups, classes, and clubs. So I'll pass it back to Sharon.
All right, thank you, Angie. So we've talked about how to get support from family, friends, and coworkers. And as Angie just talked about, is from others in your community. So now we're going to talk about how to get support from professionals. These are people who have specialized training. So what I'd like you to do is look at how to get support professionals on page 7. And this will kind of list some things there for you. So what we have here, endocrinologists, these are the doctors who specialize in diabetes. Lifestyle coaches like Angie and I, nutritionists and dietitian. I'm a dietitian. There's other dietitians in our community. Pharmacists can just give you some lowdown on some medications you're taking. Your primary care provider also can have some information for you. Psychologists and psychotherapists are also very helpful, and I want to kind of circle back to that. Recreational therapists, that might be someone who helps you kind of just getting your life more active. Social workers might help you with some, family type of things. And then trainers and exercise physiologists, especially if you have any physical limitations, kind of help you figure out what you can do based on what your body's capable of. So I wanted to, like I said, circle back to the psychologist and psychotherapist piece, because it's just my feeling from this program. It's a great program. We talk a lot about ways to eat, how to move, how much to move, how much fat, all that. But the one thing that it doesn't address is, what is our story with how we eat and how we move. And in my experience, understanding your story and why you do what you do, and really is important to have that awareness in terms of making the changes. And if you're finding there's resistance and things you're not really quite aware of why you're having that resistance, someone like a psychologist or psychotherapist or a dietitian or nutritionist who specializes in eating behaviors could be quite enlightening to learn those connections. And when you have those connections, a lot of times that makes the changes much, much easier. So I just wanted to put that out there. The other thing that we are currently doing is we're offering or I am offering the Nutritionist is In, which is just a, it's an optional time from 3 to 4 on Thursdays at the time of this recording, where you just come in and whatever nutrition questions you have, or if it's something more about eating and behavior, we can talk about that. But I'm just trying to give you all an opportunity, to get some additional support outside of our classes. All right, so let's look at, go back to where it says how to get support from family, friends, and coworkers. That's on page 5. So between now and the next session, this is where you can complete this chart. So in the left column, ways they hinder my healthy lifestyle, write some ways that you find that your family, friends, and or coworkers may hinder your lifestyle. And then in the right column, write about how you will get their support. I'd also like you to read how to get support from groups, classes, and clubs on page 6. And the same thing, this is going to give you some suggestions of different places of groups, classes, and clubs, and then also some ways to find them. And try thinking about trying some of these ideas.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon, for pointing out those resources. Again, we really encourage you to go back to the participant guide whenever you need to be reminded of some of this. They have all of those great resources in there for you. And now that we've gone through some of this, we encourage you to make an action plan related to these topics. So maybe your action plan is to look into a group that would help support you in healthy eating. And so you can make your action step related to that. And remember to keep your action plan realistic, doable, specific, and flexible. So again, think about your action plan from the last session. How did that go? Were you able to accomplish what you set out to do? Or were there some obstacles or challenges that got in the way? If so, think about what those are and try to figure out the strategies to cope with those challenges. We often discuss that in the sessions. And again, your participant guide often lists what the challenges might be. So maybe flip back to those and kind of pick a strategy for coping with those and rewrite that action plan in a way that makes it more realistic and doable. So with that,
we'll go to, so we're come to the end of our meeting. So today we discussed about getting support for your healthy lifestyle. We talked about how to get support from your family, friends, and coworkers, from groups, classes, and clubs, and from professionals. So to complete this session, as I said earlier, is you need to reach out to your lifestyle coach, and after watching this recording, but before so, write your action plan and then complete those charts that we told you about on pages 5 and 6. And then contact your lifestyle coach to go over those action plans and look at those charts. And then we will also review the session with you and record your weight and physical activity minutes. And then you're good to go. So thank you guys. We look forward to seeing you in person soon.
thanks, guys.